is all about having the best realtor to serve you if you're thinking of buying or selling. So this is a conversation about how is a rock reborn. And you're thinking, who made up that title? Ryan Decker. Anyway, we'll have that conversation after when you call us to say what is going on, and we'll tell you the inside scoop. So this is the Inside Track on Real Estate. I'm Yetta Decker.
I'm Ken Decker.
And I'm Rocky Mix.
And we're going to mix it up today. That was perfect.
There you
got to go third, and that was perfect.
Everything about the name works, right?
It really does. It really does. So we're mixing it up a little bit. A little bit, maybe a lot of bit. And we're doing it for you. We're doing it because we know that there is a new wave of real estate companies.
Yeah.
The whole industry has actually changed. You always did business with the realtor you did business with because you trusted them, because you knew that they were going to deliver great service, or I hope you wouldn't have done business with them, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. And the company behind that person is actually part of what gives them the knowledge base and the longevity in the industry.
Yes, and we brought Rocky on because Rocky has come to really relaunch Solid Rock. Solid Rock's been in business for just coming up on 15 years, which is awesome. And we created a new vision that really didn't fit inside of the vision of our franchisor. And so now you'll notice on our signs in different places that it's just Solid Rock Realty with a beautiful little maple leaf sometimes.
Inside with a house inside of it. It's actually pretty cool.
I love the logo.
So do I.
I love a lot more than the logo.
Tell us, well, Rocky, before we get into why you love the company and what you're going to do there and what you are doing there and what's happening, let's hear a little bit about you. You came from not Vancouver,
Calgary.
Yeah. You
Kelowna,
were in BC for a while.
Kelowna and then Calgary. I've lived all over BC. I could list off a few different places, but Kelowna, Calgary, Ottawa is my past 10 years. So
for the listener, it's important to know that Rocky is the COO of Solid Rock Realty. COO stands for Chief Operating Officer, which means really he's in control of everything.
Yeah.
And we just get to be his sidekicks. Kind of cool.
And I'm excited about that.
Yeah. I bet you are.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your background, and then tell us after that why Ottawa.
Okay, how much time do we have? We have a lot last time. Okay, again, and it kind of goes back into the comment I made before we started taping. It's tough because I don't want to make this too self-serving, but at the same time, I do like to share my story. It's when I shared it with you. We all have stories, and we it makes us who we are, and we're proud of, I guess, what it took to get us to where we are today.
Yeah, and the other thing I think our stories do, especially when you're running a business, is when you know the heart of the person, you know why they're in the industry they're in and why they're serving the way they're serving, it adds an ability to either trust them or not trust them, depending on whether you align with that. Yeah. I know there's a company that we do a lot of work with around home air quality and restoration, and I love working with them because he came to it because of an illness that his wife had, and so he found it organically. And the same with why I'm in real estate and why Ken's in real estate. It's an organic coming out of our being, and now we're passionate about what we do because of where we came from. And I think that's the same with your story, because when you came to us, you didn't know you were applying at a company called Solid Rock.
Yeah, I had no idea. It was literally, and I don't know if we get into that right now or we get into that after, but that's a pretty good story in its own, just our first discussion, I felt, and then meeting you guys. But if I were to go back, and I'll just give a little background on my career, I grew up kind of in the hockey world. Learned how to do video editing, broadcasting, did play-by-play for a couple teams out in BC. And that led me to have a relationship with Shaw. I had a couple friends that worked at Shaw, and I jumped into Shaw. So out east, I don't know how well Shaw is known. I know people know of Shaw Direct or Freedom Mobile, which is part of Shaw right now. But out west, it's a major player. It is the Rogers or the Bell out there. And I don't want to compare because I don't know how much people like those two companies out there.
Shaw's a great company.
But Shaw it is. There's nothing that I could talk about Shaw in a negative light. I started there. I worked in Kelowna there on the inside sales team. After about 2.5 years in a leadership role, moved to Calgary, worked for the corporate team. I won't kind of get into the in and outs of everything there, but over the course of time, made some tremendous relationships, worked for some great people. And when I think about kind of where I am right now and when I think about the people I want to work with and the heart, it comes from the leadership, the senior leaders and everyone that was around me at Shaw, that it literally was one family trying to do one thing together. And I say all of this and people would probably think, well, why did you leave? And I'll get into that in a sec, but the most of my time there, and I would say well over 95% of the time at Shaw, I thought to myself, I would never leave this company. This is where I'm going to be forever. There's no reason for me to go anywhere else. It's sad. When I think about some of the people there that I'm not seeing and not working with, I do get sad, but I also think about the opportunities that they currently have in front of them and the opportunities that we now have, especially over this past month with what's come up. There's so much excitement into the future, but that company, I could go on for the next 30 minutes and take off all the time and just talk about the people there. But what happened in there is they had a foresight, they had a vision, and this is the executive group and the leadership committee at Shaw, to say that 3 years from now, we're not going to require the amount of people that we have today based on the way technology is moving and some of that going in. So what they did right off the bat, which is, and people will look at this from so many different lenses and say it's the best thing they did or the worst thing they did, but they went across and they offered every single person in the organization a departure package, a volunteer departure package that was a very generous package that said, thank you for your time here. As we're moving forward, we don't know what the landscape's going to look like, but we want to be ahead of everything. And if you want to continue with us, we don't know what the world's going to be, but join us. If not, thank you. Take this and go create a life for yourself. I, at the moment, again, and I mentioned you, saw the message, saw everything, and was like, I'm not leaving. At the time, I had between 60 and 70 people around the country, all the way from Victoria and Nanaimo out to Thunder Bay, that reported into me. So I had to start making trips across the country to talk to some of the people to explain this message that, hey, you have an opportunity to leave. If you want to stay, we don't know what your role's going to look like, but unfortunately, we're forcing you into change. It's kind of similar for what we've done in the past couple months here. We're forcing change and a decision on you into your future.
Because of the vision that is coming down, that we see for the future, that is so much bigger than the vision they had seen previously or the vision we had seen previously.
Without question.
So cool. The parallel is so neat.
Exactly. And it's funny because I didn't even think about that until we start speaking right now, that's exactly what's going on in this world. We force change upon people at Solid Rock based on the decision on where we wanted to go, to make sure that there were no limits on what we can and can't do. And
no limits on what they can do.
Without question.
Right? Which is then no limits on how they can serve you as a buyer or seller. That's why this conversation actually matters.
Yeah.
When we were talking about doing this show, we said, why? Why do you, a buyer or seller that's listening to the show, care? And what we realized is it's such a high turnover industry that you care because you want to make sure every time you hire a realtor, you hire somebody that's actually going to be in it for the long haul, that's actually going to have the education, the training, the knowledge, and the ability to serve you not just today, but serve you in 10 years, 15 years, 25 years, whether it's somebody from the Decker team or somebody from any other team or individual within the organization of Solid Rock.
Yeah, longevity is so important. As a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, I was looking for a new car. Actually, it was a new truck originally, and it turned into a new car. And I ended up with
Because of me.
Because of you, yes. It ended up, I bought a new-to-me car, a couple of years old. Let someone else take the depreciation. And saved almost half price on a luxury car, so it's great. Now, it's important to know that a couple times I was going back to dealerships, either to do another test drive or to try a different vehicle,
or make me go in it,
or bring Yetta there to, once I got it narrowed down, because Yetta doesn't like cars, doesn't like the shopping experience, doesn't like any of that, but she likes to drive it. So I was basically dealing with three or four dealerships. Two of the dealerships, within a week or two of going back and saying, hey, I'm interested in this car again, the salesperson was no longer working there. So very transient turnover. And real estate has the issue of quite a number of realtors don't make it through their first 2 years.
50%.
Yeah, over 50% don't relicense at the 2-year mark. And then there's still some turnover on top of that. Now, we've designed something that we believe is going to turn the industry on its head, so to speak, right?
Yeah, and we put together a list of visions and what we wanted to do to create the best company that people would want to come at, never leave. And then over the course of the last month and a half, there's been some magic that's been sprinkled in that we're extremely excited about. But at the end of the day, what you guys are talking about is what we want to do is groom people within the organization and allow them to live their best life so that they can impact everyone that they're reaching out to too. And that's part of why we want to do what we want to do in the very specific targets that we have set out in front of us, is so that we can reach more people, that we can impact honestly the world in a way that we're not impacting right now. And so we'll talk about that over the course, maybe not today, but we have some lofty goals about what we want to do as an organization.
And ultimately, it just means you get better service.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so core bottom line, right? Like, what's the point? Well, the point is you get the best service that's available or possible in the real estate industry. And that's kind of cool. So back to your story, I just couldn't help that.
No, it was
like, whoa.
It was perfect timing to get in there. Now we can loop back a little bit. So it kind of cuts me down a little bit from talking for so long at once. So in that world, to go back to having to deliver the message that we're forcing change upon you to our people, I got a ton of different responses from people. Honestly, the majority, I would say 80% of them weren't sure. 80% of them didn't know what to do. 10% of them were for sure one way, which was staying, and 10% of them was for sure walking out the door the other way. Most of the people that I worked the closest with at the time that I had talked to were staying. We were all a part of the group. There's no way we would leave. This is exciting. This is only opportunity for us. As we went around the country, there's a few people that hit, as far as one person said they get to spend time with their kids. The next person, I think it was the next day, talked about, this is a lady in Winnipeg, her name was Tracy, and she mentioned that taking this time to be with her father, who was over in England, who had just lost his wife, so her mother had passed away in the past couple of years, to be with him at this time would be something she could never get back. Some of those things started to linger in with me and where I'm at. And then I talked to a supervisor I worked with out of Vancouver named John, and when he started talking about some of the things that this could do to impact his family moving forward, it hit me in the moment with him right then and there. And I started talking to him. Nobody listening right now knows anything about me. You guys know we've talked about this. My 7-year-old son is severely autistic, non-communicative. You guys have met him.
I know, he's awesome.
So
Candace even bought him presents.
Love it. He likes those spiky balls, loves the texture. So on Max, there's so much that we've tried to do over the course of his life. He was diagnosed at 1.5 years. He's now 7. So at this point in time, he was a couple months before turning 7. And there's some certain things that we'd researched talking to parents of children with autism who had the same severity as Max that found their way out of it, so to speak, in as much capacity as possible for some amazing. But we started gearing in on the parents there. And there were some certain things that they said they did that changed their child's life. A lot of these things cost money, and we decided to look into them and try and afford it, and we're looking to go into debt to do one of them. When I saw this and started thinking about the family, I took it home to my wife and I said, we could look back now and see that this is our one time, our one moment in time in our child's life at this, like, critically, the time's running out on what the development side can do in his brain. As a almost 7-year-old, we're at that window that something had to happen now, that we could go and do a couple of the things, and we could take this money now and actually go and do that. And when we thought about that, there was no going back. There was nothing that we could ever turn back from and say, we didn't do that. And it was talking to John from Vancouver, who said, you make this decision now for your family. He's an older gentleman. He's in his later 50s, so older. When I'm talking about where I'm at, so the wisdom that I take from him at the time.
He's talking about us. We're not quite in our late 50s. However, we do have a 50.
We're closer to 60 than we are 50 now.
Anyways, I brought that up based on he wanted to give me his life experience and just say, you do something for your family, no matter what the cost, you will never regret it. And when he said that, it just solidified it, that's what we're doing. There was no going back from there. Like, leaving Shaw was one of the hardest decisions to ever happen, but to know there was no other option once we made that option. And part of that, so some of the things that we wanted to do with this money required us traveling out of the country a couple times. In Calgary, we didn't have too much family support. My sister was there, but she had a newborn of her own. And my wife's mother was there, but she's going to follow us anywhere. So the purpose at the time to find support and family members was, let's go to Ottawa. My wife's entire family is from here. Her dad's here. She's got aunts and uncles.
And her mom's here
7 cousins. Her mom, like I said, she's amazing. She's so much support too. But coming here, it now allows us to have the family support. And so coming here, I came here without an inclination of what I was going to do. It was literally focus on Max. And we have 2 other daughters as well. One who just turned 1, not too long ago. Veda, yeah. And then we have Rhea, who's 5.5. And you got to count the half. Most parents know you got to count the half.
Until you're a grandparent, then you don't count the halves anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You count the half. So with being able to take, or wanting to take Max out of the country, specifically to the U.S. and Panama is another place we're going, we need that family support to watch the girls and to be able to look after the girls for everything that we're doing. And that was why we came to Ottawa. So that's the story about why I left Calgary, why I left Shaw. And it was solely revolved around, and I shouldn't say it's we. It was a whole family decision. Yeah,
Shire was in there.
Was there the whole way. And coming here, it's kind of neat how this all unfolded too. But where we're at right now, we know that we're doing everything we can. We've made the right decision at the time. And honestly, we're working together, Ken and I, and like daily. I know in what we're doing now, we have the opportunity to, and I say this, I try and say this humbly, but you cannot say this humbly, but we have the opportunity to change the world and very much change the lives and the landscape of the Canadian real estate industry.
It's hilarious that you would say that. And I say hilarious because I was thinking, I want to say exactly what you just said. That's a thought that was running through my head. Change the landscape of real estate in Canada. The Canadian landscape real estate. That's what was running through my head. And then it comes out of your mouth. And that just, it is perfect.
It's perfect.
It's perfect because we were not thinking, we were thinking. We just didn't believe in our thinking that we were looking for a Rocky to come join us at Solid Rock.
That's not true. I was looking for a rock star. I was looking for a rock star.
You just didn't know.
I
Right.
just didn't know his name would be Rocky.
And that it would actually be on his birth certificate as Rocky. It's not just like a nickname, like, yeah, that's what I thought at first until I said to you, so tell me about Rocky. And he goes, yeah, it's my name. My dad named me Rocky. It's like, oh my goodness. Okay. And then I have to share this little story because it makes me
Please. I don't know
feel
what story you're
very
sharing,
much
but go for
like
it.
it sets the foundation of where we're headed. Like, how is a rock reborn is such a play on words, and yet Solid Rock has an amazing foundation. It's been here for 15 years. It's only going to launch from here. As you were sharing, you can't launch from water if you're a rocket ship.
Yeah, if you're a rocket ship, they always launch from solid ground because they need something to push off from.
And so we're pushing off from solid ground. And so we have this thing where we say, what's that one word? If you could only use one word to describe your essence. And there was a consultant that asked me that years and years and years ago. And it has shifted a little bit over the years. And yet the word for me is catalyst. The word for Ken is faithful. And then I said to Rocky, what's your word? And he goes, and you're hearing no noise. And I know if you're listening, you're thinking, why are you not saying anything? Because it was like, as he said it, my jaw hit the ground. And he said that his one word was solid. And who has that? Like, nobody. I mean,
and this can be confirmed too. I can say, Chantel, Ken, we had a conversation. These are former supervisors that worked for me about that, and we all came up with our word, and that was the word that was my word. That's what I wanted to be seen as. So,
and what people saw you as, because it's not so much what we want to be seen as. It's really, what do people collectively say you are? What's that one word?
Right.
So Ken, faithful, Rocky, solid, yet a catalyst. I mean, pretty incredible team. And we have some commonality in our core strengths, and we have a very similar vision for creating incredible opportunity for having a life, like building a life that you love.
Yeah, and
because we have them.
Yeah, it's exciting. And you mentioned the three of us.
Yeah.
I'm starting to. I know. I'm starting to meet so many people within our organization just to get to know them better. We have the team and we have the pillars in place to do what we want.
Yeah, it's not just the three of us. We just if there was 6 or 7, 8 of us on this show, we'd be stacked, and that wasn't going to look.
Here?
No, that wasn't going to look so good. So we decided to go with the 3 of us today, and on other shows, or you come into the office, come into our Corvus location, the main branch, and meet the rest of our leadership team and meet the rest of our realtors. Well, some work from home, and yet we will have functions there, so you can certainly meet the entire team.
Yeah. And we wanted to bring you behind the kind of the black curtain, open up the black curtain of what's the company like that supports the Solid Rock realtor that you may choose to buy or sell or invest in, and how do they show up? And how do they get supported? How do they get trained up? How do they, all of that behind the scenes. So tell us a little bit. I think it's important also, I'm going to sidetrack here on my own thought. I think it's important that, like we fly WestJet quite often.
Yeah. Good
Canadian company. We also fly Air Canada. And yet there is a slight difference in the people that serve you with WestJet.
Are we going to get sued by Air Canada for saying
No, because I fly with Air Canada all the time.
No, I agree with you. I'm not.
But there seems to be a slight difference in the amount of fun. Like I was on a WestJet jet, and it was obviously a nice brand new plane. Like you get on, and it still had that new jet smell. I don't know what that smells like.
I couldn't even talk. I don't know new jet, but.
So the pilot gets on, he goes, yeah, this is a brand new jet, welcome to it, and we're going to fly it like we stole it. I don't know how you fly a plane like you stole it, but anyways, he was having fun with us.
So the point, what was different about what they do, is that what you're kidding?
Yeah, they're owners.
Right. Okay. So that's where you're getting at there. We hadn't got there yet. That's what we've just done with this organization and why we believe we've created the platform that is going to best serve all of the realtors in Canada and all the best realtors in Canada. Is we are turning on an ownership model. We've created a new platform for them to grow their lives off of and earn ownership both in succeeding within the business and within growing the business, which we think is so important. And that's where, and I don't know how much I've got into it, like, because I've had these conversations in the last few days, because that key differentiator, what is going to be different? And yeah, we're on camera. Yeah, we're on the radio right now. But in what we want to do right now, what we're looking to do, it plays into who you guys are from a heart perspective, and what you're looking to build is different than I truly believe any other broker owner out there is looking at, because we're looking to create a platform that gives back to the agents, that gives more back to the agents. As we grow, more and more of the company is going to be in the agent's hands. And I don't think there's anybody else out there right now and just that wants to give away so much. But I think you guys know, and when you give away, you get so much more back.
You know, you don't give to get, because somebody said that to me and I went, no.
But you know,
and
it's true.
It happens.
It is.
Right? Like, it's not that you do it, it's just when you give, there's a reciprocation, there's something pretty incredible that happens. And again, it's not the motivation, it just feels really good.
Quarter of an extra large pizza is still bigger than a small pizza.
I love it. That's where your head went, because it's true. And honestly, it's having that vision, that foresight, that to be able to put that out there. And it's on, you know, it's on us. And this is again a big Shaw thing, is it's never me, it's an us collectively to go out and execute. So,
and it's so much more fun to do it together.
Oh,
like,
you can't do it alone.
You really
can't.
You really can't. So it is family, whether related by blood or not. It's kind of like the elephant. You know, the elephant takes in family that actually isn't by birth.
Yeah.
And so I feel often like we have the wisdom. Yeah. The wisdom of elephants.
I just agreed. Like, yeah, okay. I didn't know that either. I'm with you, Ken.
I don't know elephants.
Well, they're
I didn't want to cut you off like Ken did.
You too. And so if you're thinking, boy, they're having a lot of fun and they're bantering and they're cutting each other off, it actually, fun creates opportunity for learning. And learning creates the opportunity to serve you in the best way possible. So that's really why we're building and how we're building what we're building.
And our time has evaporated.
They're gone?
Yeah.
Can we do this again? Just let's do this again.
Press reset.
Yeah.
We can start over.
I'm not done yet.
You know, unfortunately, that's all the time we have, folks. And yet, if you'd like more information, if you're thinking about being in real estate or you're in real estate, you want to chat with Rocky, give us a call at 613-733-3434.
Or you want your realtor to come join us?
Yeah.
You can call us there too.
Yeah, you can call your realtor and say, hey, you need to join the Solid Rock team.
They really do.
And it's been a pleasure talking with you, Rocky.
Thank you guys for everything.